What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the NCSL Dynasty here on NCAA 14 and more noticeably on college football Revamped. We are closing in on the end of the regular season, just a few weeks of regular season football that is left to be played, and we got some great games available in this episode. While we don't have any top 25 matchups in this particular week, that being said, we get a lot of games that are going to have some implications on what's going to happen for conference championship games, who's going to go to said conference championship games, and then on top of that, who's going to be those 8 teams that do make it in to the college football playoff and ultimately compete for a national championship. I'm extremely excited about this episode. I hope you guys are as well, as we have a lot of action here in this episode for you guys in just a shorter period of time. So with that being said, I hope you guys are excited. And if you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. Let's go ahead and dive right into the action. I'll see you guys on the fields around the nation. Let's go see what happens in week number 12. So we start week number 12 action with a pair of top 10 teams ready to get the opening kickoffs in. We'll start things out with number 8 Minnesota taking on the Cyclones of Iowa State. And this Minnesota team, silently one of those teams that could secure themselves an at-large bid in the college football playoff, but they are going to need a little bit of help though, as Lou Harrison, he's gonna stiff arm a defender out of the way, and Lou Harrison will get the first points of this episode. Minnesota will take a 7-0 lead. And the rushing attack for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, it was an effective one from the get-go. Iowa State not having a lot of answers for this Minnesota ground game, but Harrison's going to drop back. He's going to try to run away, but he actually does get hurt off screen. So that does mean a backup quarterback has to come into the game. He comes in on a 3rd and 17, and first throw, right off the bench, he throws a dime to Nathan Jones. Absolutely impressive throw by Corey Smith. And that's how you know this Minnesota program, they're going to be in good hands once Lou Harrison does end up graduating, as we'll see what Corey Smith can do on their next drive. He does take a sack on a 1st and 10, but he'll make up for it on the read option, making some guys miss. How about the effort there by Corey Smith, finding their way into the end zone, and Minnesota extends their lead yet again, and it turns into a dominant first half for the Golden Gophers here at home, as Corey Smith gets up his 3rd touchdown of the day. This guy came off the bench, and he gets his 3rd touchdown of the day. Moving into the second half of action, though, Corey looking to put the cream on top, and he does. Corey Smith is going to score yet again, and it's a big-time win for this Minnesota program, winning 59-21. But now we go to Columbus, where the number 2 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes will take on the Bearcats of Cincinnati. But don't look down with this Cincinnati team, fighting to stay alive in that bowl eligibility race. They'll need to win their next 3 games. Well, they just tied it up against Ohio State, and first quarter, they really take it to the Buckeyes, as it looks like the horseshoe is stunned here at home. They actually fall down as much as 21-7, but Vincent Gold, he's in the game. He's going to throw it out to Brandon Burks, who's going to beat the man-on-man coverage and cuts it back to within just a score. As we are 3 minutes left here in the first half, Vincent Gold trying to lead another big-time drive. How about a big-time throw back to Brandon Burks? He is going to be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown, Ohio State. And we're now looking at a tie ball game once again. And Cincinnati looking to respond. They're going to go with the option, running the ball up the gut, and Ed Keefe will be able to go ahead and pick up that first down. So it moves the chains for the Cincinnati Bearcats, as we once again see them drop back to pass. Looks over to the left-hand side, has his receiver down the sideline, is able to get across the 50-yard line as well. A first down for the Bearcats. That being said, trying to continue as they actually face a penalty, but we got a big pitch to the other way. Is this going to be going to the end zone? No! Nick Allen gets shoestring tackled, but it sets up 1st and goal for Vincent Gold and company. Dropping back, looks over the middle, and Sam Williams makes an incredible dive and grab for Ohio State to take the lead. So now we'll go into the second half of action. Ohio State still up by 7. A nice check down by Vincent Gold. Nobody there to cover the backup running back, Andrew Bush. And Vincent Gold's going to get probably his easiest touchdown of the day. That's his 4th passing touchdown of the afternoon. And now Cincinnati, they need to score on this drive if they want to stay in this game. And hope to God that they can get themselves an onside kick. Jonathan Pringham having a big day, though. 10 catches, 132 yards. We'll see if they go to him again here in the red zone. Looking over the middle, and they do go to Danny Vogel. Cincinnati back in this game, but they must get the onside kick to keep the Bearcats alive, and they can't recover it. Ohio State's hands team, they will end up doing the job. And Ohio State ekes one out. They beat the Bearcats of Cincinnati 35-28 to remain undefeated. That being said, we have a bunch of more games going into action right now. Most notably, we have number 10, Texas. But first, we'll check in out in the Mountain West. BYU and Boise State competing for that opportunity to go to the conference championship later in the season. This would be a big game specifically for that, as Boise State faces some pressure. And it looks like BYU really showing that when pressure shines, it shines like a diamond. So BYU able to extend their lead after that interception. They're up 14-0, as the Broncos still looking for their first points of the day. Dane Payne is going to nearly pick up the first down, as the Broncos will utilize their second timeout. They still have 1 timeout to work with. Facing some pressure, going to try to scramble. Jeff Owens shooting to get there, and that will be a touchdown for the Boise State Broncos, but they fail to get the extra points. So down by 8 points instead of 7. And if I'm showing special teams, you already know something's about to go down. Breaks the second tackle. Now he's got a convoy, and it's a foot race, and he is a winner every single time. Bruce Butler with a 99-yard touchdown as BYU extends the lead, and has a special reason why you see him on the thumbnail. He is absolutely electric. And BYU with a convincing lead of 21-6. But Boise State looking to get back into the game, though. 3rd and inches. Owens got the read option. 1 man to beat. Oh, he can't beat him to the edge. But a 1st and goal for Jeff Owens and company. Imagine they'll go back to the running game. 1st and goal. They do. Running back Dane Payne up the middle. Bringing Payne to the BYU defense. So the Cougars only up by a possession once again. They need an answer from their quarterback. They're going to get it from their receiver. And oh, I thought he was going to get in. I thought Jonathan Scott is going to have a receiving touchdown there, but they're going to mark him at the 1-inch line instead. They choose not to challenge that call. Not that they'll need to, because on the very next play, BYU, well, they are going to score anyways. They get another touchdown on the board, making it 28-13 being your score. So here we are late in the 3rd quarter. It looks like BYU just getting ready to open this game wide open, it seems like. Big red zone opportunity for both teams. Could determine how this final quarter of action ultimately plays out. 3rd and 3, they're going to go with the triple option. And Peter Davis, the fullback, getting a little bit of love. He's going to find the end zone for a score. And then literally a minute later, Boise State turns the ball over in their own territory. And there's a ball on the ground. And wow, Jonathan Scott recovers that. You know, that's when you know when everything's going right for you. BYU's going to win this one big. Meanwhile, we go down to the Lone Star State, where Houston is playing host to the number 10 team in the nation, the Texas Longhorns. Texas trying to bounce back after a surprising blowout loss to UTEP. That was their first and only loss of the season so far. So we'll see if Texas can bounce back, or will they take yet another L? And it looks like Houston trying to provide the ladder there as Cody Paul gets him inside the 5-yard line to start this game. Houston looking for the opening salvo, dropping back over the middle and finds Nick Thompson for the touchdown. Houston is going to take the lead. The one thing that we know about this Texas team is that it is certified dangerous. These Texas Longhorns, this is where the best offense in America resides, scoring over 40 points per game. They're number 1 in the nation in scoring offense, so we know that they can score in a hurry. Landon Curtis almost getting that goose egg off the scoreboard for the Texas Longhorns. He'll also be marked down at the 1-yard line. But very next play, though, David Massey's going to get the push that he wants from the offensive line. And Texas will indeed even up the score. That being said, we still have a tie ball game at 7 apiece here as Chase Ingram's going to throw over to the right-hand side now. Nice little throw to Tanner Harris in order to move the sticks and makes it a 1st and goal opportunity for Texas, who searches for their first lead of the game. Ingram looking for the end zone and gets it. Chase Ingram is going to score, and Texas will take the lead. But now we cut to within less than 2 minutes left in the half. Houston send the blitz. They're going to check it down to the tailback, who breaks a couple of tackles. David Massey gets him across midfield. And the Longhorns still have all of their timeouts to use as well. We'll see how they utilize them. As here we are, 2nd and 4. Another throw to the backup tailback, David Massey. He has been involved in this game. This might be a breakout moment for him. As again, deep in Houston territory, a big-time throw to Landon Curtis for a 1st and goal opportunity. And now the Longhorns are going to go into their no-huddle offense. 1st and goal, 35 seconds left. And Ingram is in the shotgun. Got some time and finds a wide but naked open Landon Curtis. It's the biggest lead that Texas has had all day, but the Houston Cougars, well, they are not giving up. At least not anytime soon. Dre Brooks is going to run it in himself for a Houston touchdown. First one that we saw since the opening drive that Houston has had. They're going to need a lot of points if they want to keep up with this Texas team, because they are on pace to reach their scoring average. Their scoring average currently sits at 42.7 points a game. 3rd and short coming up, though. Matt looking around. It's Ingram. He's going to find the end zone yet again. And the Longhorns will indeed spread their lead once more. Now, closing moments of the 3rd quarter, though. David Massey will go ahead and follow the push that he got from his offensive line. And he'll move to 6 for yet another 1st down as Texas looks to finish this game off once and for all. Massey breaking away from 2 defenders. Make it free. A 4th. He rolls over a couple of defenders. That was an incredible 2-yard gain that we witnessed there. That was not easy at all. But Chase Ingram sure go ahead and make things shake as Texas will end up winning big. 38-14 is going to be your final score as the Texas Longhorns continue to roll. Meanwhile, we got Indiana taking on Purdue. A big game here for both teams, as not only is it a little bit of Indiana State supremacy potentially, but what we also are going to see as well is, what are we going to see? Which one of these 2 teams could make it to a bowl game? They both need a win in order to keep those hopes alive. Purdue is going to go ahead, throw over the right-hand side, finds Ronnie Prince, and Purdue takes a 7-0 lead for right now. But Indiana, with 2 minutes left in the 1st half, going to rely on the offensive mastery of offensive coordinator Dalton Berenstein. And they're going to need one here as well, as Indiana, looking to tie the game, is going to hand it off to their tailbacks. Actually got some space down the sideline. Can't get the last block, but Demetrius Hudson with a great run. A 24-yard gain. So that moves the sticks for the Hoosiers. And then next place, Courtney Nelson throws it on a rope. And now it's going to be an even game once again. But doesn't leave too much time for Purdue, though. Still all knotted up at 7. A pretty defensive-minded game between 2 teams that really like their offense, and respectfully, as Purdue drops back, looks over the middle of the field, but is going to be intercepted. He will be picked off, and so we will have a tie ball game going in to the half. Second half coming our way, though, as Indiana tries to take the lead, and they will. Demetrius Hudson gives the Hoosiers a lead as they look to get to 500, but Purdue not giving up. Triple option going over to the right-hand side. Anton Crawford able to get an 11-yard run on the play. But here we are early in the fourth quarter, though. They look to take the lead. The Boilermakers facing some pressure, and there's a leak out by Travis Jenkins, being bamboozled by the blitz. And Purdue now has the lead. And it looks like the Boilermakers wanting to take control. They want to remain alive in the bowl eligibility race. We'll see if they can accomplish that, finishing this game strong. And they will with Travis Jenkins, who takes the pitch and finds the end zone. They don't get the extra point, so they're only up by 9. But it's getting very clear that Indiana's hopes of winning this game is dwindling by the minute. Fourth quarter now. They're now trying to run out the clock, but Jenkins wants the style points instead. Touchdown, Purdue. And not only that, they're going for the 2-point conversion as well to make it a 17-point game. Firing gets Justin Dixon. And I think it's barbecue chicken for the Indiana Hoosiers as Purdue wins 31-21 to remain alive in their bowl eligibility hunt. But now we check in on the Florida State Seminoles. A Seminoles team that's having an above average season. They're coming in 6-3 in this particular game. They will be taking on the University of Southern Florida, and they are not having an above average season at all. Matter of fact, they are just 1-8 coming into this game, and they're going to have to deal with the bowling ball that is Marcus Campbell, who did transfer from the FCS ranks this past season. So here we are, 3rd and goal, though. Campbell with yet another carry, and you could just see how tough he is. He is literally built different. Florida State's going to take the lead. But only a 7-0 lead, though. Been a low-scoring affair thus far. But it looks like Seminoles, they're starting to win in the trenches. And if you can win in the trenches, well, you could do whatever you want. Florida State will take yet a bigger lead, as Southern Florida having a tough time hanging with Florida State, as this is going to be a option pass. But Ben Donaldson choosing to run with it, though. An 8-yard carry makes it 1st and goal. And Florida State looking for another score. And they will get it from Marcus Campbell, who is going to be living in the nightmares of this USF defensive coordinator all night long. So Florida State continues to extend their lead, 21-3, being the score right now. As again to that last quarter of action, looking for a touchdown number 4, and Marcus Campbell, he's gonna get it. Another score on the board as Florida State wins convincingly, 35-10. It was never close. So we do have an opportunity to get some studio updates, and after UTEP just got to the top 25, well, that stay will not be lasting very long at all, because they lose to Texas Tech the very next week. They lose 27-20, so that could knock UTEP out of the top 25 convincingly, while Texas Tech, well, they will be securing bowl eligibility with this win here today. Meanwhile, in other news, Michigan had a battle against Ball State, but the Wolverines will survive. They get to 9-2 and look good to go to the conference championship. Now, that being said, we now go across the continental United States, where Stanford is going to host Cal, and they just call it the game out there, at least the West Coast version of the game. Cal coming in ranked number 18 in the country, looking to finish the season strong, while Stanford, this is Stanford's final game of the season. They are 3-8. At this point of the year, they're just looking to play spoiler against their rival. Now, that being said, Cal actually in a tough one against the University of Stanford. It's still a tie ball game here. could go in either way, but Cal's got a drive going with less than 2 minutes left as they look to take the lead. Facing some pressure, but looks over to the left-hand side. It's got a receiver, and it's Tim Thomas, who was open for Andrew Jackson, and that's a touchdown for the California Bears, now with a 17-10 lead. That being said, though, we got 17-10 being your score. Stanford looking to answer back, looks to the right-hand side. Ball is on the ground, though. They are calling it a fumble on the field, and that fumble is going to stand as well. I would have called it an incompletion, but the refs on the field disagreed. Could be a little bit of a controversial call, but we'll jump to the fourth quarter of action, and well, the Bears are simply taking control right now. This is why they're number 18 in the country. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing it right now, and that is taking care of business, as that is a beautiful move by Gerald Allen. Getting away from the safety like that, he had no chance to bring him down. Cal is going to notch their 7th win of the season. They will take down their rivals 44-10 in a game that absolutely got blown apart in the second half. That being said, we have yet another rivalry game on our hands. This is Virginia taking on North Carolina, and while the Tar Heels has had a little bit of a disappointing season, they can still secure bowl eligibility here today if they take care of business against the Cavaliers of Virginia. But Virginia, they're looking to play spoiler as well. Not only make them wait a little bit longer, but North Carolina still in this race to go to the ACC Championship. The Carolina's division has just not been up to par, or at least what we have experienced in the past, right? But Virginia is going to try to retake the lead, and they actually will here. Jared Tyler is going to score for Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, we actually have a game. I did not think that this game would have been close, but not only is it actually close, but Cavaliers got a lead, and they get plays on the defensive side of the ball as well. That's the second turnover that this defense is forced today. So North Carolina in some trouble now in the fourth quarter. Down by 9. Bates going to check it down to his running back as he tries to work to the first down marker. Will be marked just shy. An 8-yard gain for the tailback, as North Carolina desperately needs a touchdown. Can they get it from their tailback as he nearly gets away from that last defender? Andy Jackson on the verge of a 100-yard day, but doing it off of 21 carries. So not the most efficient. Danny Bates, on the other hand, well, he'll just finish the job all by himself. North Carolina pulls to within just a couple of points. They'll even take the lead off screen, but the Cavaliers, they have a chance to answer back with 4 minutes left. That is a toe tapper for Montrell Smith. I don't know how he managed to get those feet down, but he did it. He done did it. Virginia gets that first down they're looking for, and then Jordan Lee gonna score for the Cavaliers. And oh my goodness, dare I say it, they are going to shock the University of North Carolina 33-29. And it's going to create some wrinkles in that Carolina's division. But we get even more studio updates coming our way as the Colorado State Rams, they continue to impress here. They beat Utah State 41-10. Big win for the Rams there, as they're looking to find a way to sneak into the college football playoff. Meanwhile, Temple able to get the upset against Maryland as well. In other news, in other studio updates, we got another upset in the Big 12 as Les Jordan, the custom at quarterback, big day today, beats the Rice Owls 40-34, as it should cause Rice to fall in the top 25 once again. But now we have more NCSL action that is going to be coming your way. We'll start out with one of the more notable, well, thought it was going to be a more notable game, Oklahoma and Tulsa. Tulsa could get bowl eligibility, but we'll check on that later. So a lot of games happening at this juncture. This is about the 3:30 slot, 3:30 or the 6 o'clock slot. But TCU and Oklahoma State are going to play against each other. Jake Jacobs, the former defensive coordinator at Temple, he's now defensive coordinating for the TCU Horned Frogs. Both teams need this win in order to remain alive. It's either win or essentially guarantee no bowling for the offseason. So, that being said, big game for both teams. And Not to mention that these teams, I'm pretty sure, are rivals. Not primary rivals, but secondary rivals. So game does naturally mean a little bit more, and you could tell right away as we have a very tightly contested game here in this first quarter of action. Still 7-0 in favor of the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, but TCU will get on the board courtesy of Courtney Coleman, working the back of the end zone pretty effectively. And now we got a tie ball game once again. Meanwhile, in the second quarter of action, as the Horned Frogs looking to try to get on the board again, this time it's Brigham Blaylock who's going to score for the Horned Frogs. They'll have their first lead of the day, and it was just one of those back and forth affairs all game long, as 24-17 your score, but the Cowboys looking for a comeback, and it might happen. Goal line situation to tie the game. Dropping back, Lou Munoz with a big time throw to Kevin McKenzie. He threw 3 interceptions today, but that being said, he came through when it mattered the most, and all of a sudden we got overtime. Jumping into that first overtime action, Lou Munoz, he's going to go ahead and set up Thomas for a beautiful screen, as now Oklahoma State looks to get a touchdown on the board. Start the overtime period, and they will indeed punch it in, as Oklahoma State is going to take the lead. And now what that means is that TCU must find the end zone in order to keep this game alive. Here we go. TCU, touchdown or bust. Throwing over the middle of the field, find the receiver. And that's going to be a first down for TCU. Able to move those sticks. They're not rushing just yet, as the very next play, got a man in motion. They're going to run a quick screen. He's got space on the outside, and TCU will answer. And it looks like we'll need a second overtime in order to sort this out. Second overtime on the way, as TCU this time will start with the ball, as Blaylock's going to get a couple of guys off of him, telling them to get away from my lemonade stand, as the TCU team is going to take the lead. Here we go. Chance to take the lead. They do! Horned Frogs just need a stop, and they'll get their 4th win of the season. We'll see if they can get it done here. Second drive for Oklahoma State. Munoz, he's going to take it himself. Gets absolutely bamboozled, but does get into a goal line situation. TCU sends the blitz, but Kevin McKenzie was open on that particular play, and that means that Oklahoma State, they'll tie this game up, and we now need a third overtime. But in that third overtime, the kick is actually partially blocked. So here we go. TCU, all they need is a field goal. They'll win the game. They'll go for more than a field goal. They'll get a touchdown, and this game is over. TCU is going to win 44-38 in this one. What a game. So we'll make our way now up to Chicago, Illinois, for West Virginia taking on Northwestern. Now, these two teams may not have the most impressive records, but they're both in the hunt to go to the MAC championship as the representative of the Great Lakes Divisional Champions. So this is actually a pretty big game here for both teams for that particular context. In West Virginia, well, they are going to get the opening points of this ball game. Nice little slant pattern to Cedric Minor. That's going to give Northwestern an early 7-0 lead within the first couple minutes of this game. And in West Virginia, realizing they certainly got some work to be done. Tom Ostrander taking a big hit. He's going to lose a bunch of yardage there. It's going to be 3rd and long for West Virginia. Maybe Northwestern can turn it around, but instead, Anthony McCollum with a big play downfield. Only a couple yards short, so they're actually going to go for it on 4th down, even though they took a penalty of false starts. As Ostrander looking around, there's a ball on the ground, and Northwestern is going to recover. Northwestern is going to have their hands on the football, and that's a 1st down for the Wildcats. Unfortunately, the Wildcats cannot turn around and do anything with it. So, that being said, still going to be a 7-0 lead in favor of West Virginia. Going into the second quarter of action, Ostrander and company does have another red zone opportunity, and this time they will not be putting the ball on the ground at all, as the Mountaineers will extend their lead again. As here we are, 14-0 being your score. Again, another West Virginia red zone opportunity. They're trying to open this game wide, but naked open. And with their backup quarterback, they will, as West Virginia scores yet again. Ryan Hale coming in relief and, making a nice throw over the middle. And then Ostrander will come back in. It was just a temporary little injury, like a bruised shoulder. Had to make sure the starting quarterback was protected. But Northwestern will not be competing for a championship after all, at least in conference play. But speaking of those divisional title races, we now go to Clemson taking on Wake Forest. Clemson in the hunt to go and try and compete for a Commonwealth divisional title. They are sitting right behind Virginia Tech, and a win here will set up a good date for them to compete for that divisional championship in the next episode. So Clemson definitely needing this win, maybe to get a little bit of national respect as well. 6-3, and they are still not coming out, and they are not ranked in the top 25. But here we go. Clemson is going to take a 7-0 lead against the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. Wake Forest, one of the worst offenses in the country, but I mean, they find ways to win. They do find ways to win. That's why they are still with a decent record in spite of that. As a matter of fact, Wake Forest has a lead after one quarter, just playing some good complementary football on both sides of the fence, both defense and offense. But Clemson is trying to put together yet another drive. Third and short coming up as quarterback's going to drop back, setting up the screen. He's got some open space out in the perimeter, and Dominic Hawley's going to use it in order to pick up yet another first down. Clemson is on the move yet again as the Tigers looking to again try to set up a read option. It's Adrian Davidson who's going to score for the Clemson Tigers. They'll tie the game and ultimately take the lead off screen as well. This was a great second quarter for Clemson as Davidson fighting for that one more yard. Could have been a second rushing touchdown of the day, but it's going to be marked down at the 1-inch line. Phenomenal effort, to say the least, though, as Dominic Hawley will finish up the drive for the Clemson Tigers as they will extend their lead over Wake Forest here in Death Valley. So Demon Deacons are looking for an answer as they'll try to get to a one-score game, but trying to get the short crosser over the middle. Nice play by the safety to come down and take that away. So Clemson is going to use that as a beacon to extend the lead over the Deacons. And Wake Forest will try to make the scoreboard look a little bit nicer in their favor. 2.5 minutes left, down by 24. Needless to say, it's not looking good, but Freddie Hawkins is going to punch it in for Wake Forest, and they'll even have the audacity to go for the 2-point conversion as well, which actually does end up being unsuccessful. But yeah, Clemson's going to win 38-20, and it sets up a big-time game against Virginia Tech next week. Now, that being said, we go to the Sunflower State. We got Kansas State taking on the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, this was one of those games where you could see why these teams are not performing at a very high level. This was a very sloppy game, and honestly, a game that does not have a ton of highlights whatsoever. We actually don't see a meaningful offensive touchdown until late in the fourth quarter. Kansas State is going to win, but not in a very exciting way. We'll see the Wildcats win here 24-7, keep their bowl eligibility hopes alive, but I mean, Kansas State's not that great of a football team. Let's just keep it real here. But now we go into the Alamo Division, where we see Oklahoma take on the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. Tulsa not only could get bowl eligibility, but they could control their own destiny to make it to the conference championship themselves. It would really help them if they can take down Oklahoma, who's 4-5. They will be coming off of a 3-game winning streak, though, so Oklahoma does come into this game warm. I don't know if I would say hot, but they are coming pretty warm, I would say. But 7-7 is your score going into the second quarter of action. It's a very competitive game between these two teams right here, as Oklahoma looks for their first lead of the day, and they will almost get it on this throw with Joel Haynes. Thought he's going to be able to turn upfield and get 6 points. Didn't exactly happen like that. So 2nd and goal from the 1 yard line again, as they'll go ahead, run the read option, and Reggie Anderson gets in untouched somehow. There was even a defensive lineman assigned to him specifically, but just wasn't fast enough in order to plug that hole up. You hate to see it. You hate to see it when you have guys there actually capable of making the play, but they just don't do it. It's a tough look for sure. And that's why neither of them are competing for a college football playoff spot right now. That's really the big difference there. But still got a pretty good game, even though this game does not have college football playoff implications, as Tulsa looking to get back up top with 4:40 left to play in the first half. Get a little toss play out to the left-hand side, and Antoine Lewis gets in untouched. Tulsa is going to score and take the lead, as now they will have the 21-14 lead. But Oklahoma trying to put the drive together themselves. They throw over the middle to Dante Steffens. So Dante Steffens gets him a nice chunk of yards there. But then a couple plays later, big time drop back, looks over to the right hand side and finds Mike Nolan for the end zone. Touchdown, Oklahoma. It's a tied ball game at 21-all. As Tulsa and Oklahoma, these two teams, they are certainly going at it right now. Oklahoma State's supremacy, it seems like, as Antoine Lewis does make it a 28-21 lead. We'll see if Oklahoma can answer back. It's been like a boxer match, just trading punches all day long. As Reggie Anderson could have easily had a touchdown there too, but not the greatest vision, to be nice about it. We'll say it like that, but still leads to another touchdown a couple plays later, as it's Leon Jackson that's going to punch it in. Looks like whoever's going to have the ball last seems to be the team that's capable of winning this game. As now Tulsa finds themselves down by a touchdown, but this is trouble. Oklahoma's defense made a play, and that's going to ultimately be the difference. The Sooners win 35-28, and suddenly the Alamo division becomes a lot more interesting. So we'll have some more studio updates for us as we have North Texas and SMU. This is a rivalry game between these two teams, but SMU is able to win out, winning by a touchdown there. And how about getting the upset juices flowing? Oregon is going to be beating the Cougars of Washington State 35-28 here, as Oregon looking to kick Washington State out of the top 25. But wait, the studio updates keep rolling and it keeps getting better. New Mexico has been hot, and that is going to continue as they blow out Arizona State 41-16. The Lobos are now bowl eligible. So we'll have a little bit of a battle of Tennessee here, as Tennessee goes on the road to take on the Commodores of Vanderbilt. Whoever winning this game will be bowl eligible, and whoever loses will have to try again on a different day. Vanderbilt, of course, being in a little bit better of a position, as they just need to win one of their next 3 games in order to make that happen. Tennessee, they got to win this one or their season finale in order to do the same thing, but Tennessee is going to open it up with a 7-0 lead here in this Volunteer State battle. As the Commodores, their quarterback's got a bunch of time, has enough to where I could have sat in that pocket, made some food for myself, come back, and still found an open receiver. It's crazy how much time he actually had there. Found his receiver for the first down. Because of that, and it eventually leads to a Steve Cannon touchdown in order to even up this game in the first quarter. But their kicker apparently sucks though, because they end up missing the extra point. Hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt Vanderbilt later down the road, but Anthony Goddard, well, he'll get another score on the board. So they will this time actually kick the extra point successfully. So a nice back and forth game between these two teams. 14-13 being your score now, as Tennessee does end up scoring off screen. But the Commodores are putting together a pretty good drive. They're just outside the red zone here for this 3rd down conversion. That is a dot to Steve Glover for the first down. Commodore mascot, he obviously is going to love it. It's like a McDonald's Happy Meal, as they'll finish the drive off with a wide butt naked open Jonathan Cantrell for the end zone. And the Commodores will take the lead. They will not go for the 2-point conversion though. So 1:20 left to play in the first half as Tennessee looking to respond, getting it out into the perimeter. Drew Brown almost picking up the first down, but Tennessee will have to use one of their timeouts, so they will have 2 remaining as again Vanderbilt tries to send a disguise blitz, but finds his man and finds Michael Austin for another first down. It's a steady drive for Tennessee, but they're still looking for that big play. Could they get it here as he launches downfield and finds a striding Andrew Adams for the touchdown? Tennessee extends the lead once more, 21-20. So a close one here as these two teams, they are really showing the embodiment of that rivalry game. You absolutely love to see it. So 21-20 being your score, as looking around, throwing over the middle, finds Michael Austin yet again. Tennessee looking real good in order to secure that bag. But less than 2 minutes left. Vanderbilt trying to win this game, and it looks like the fat lady, she might be singing as Vanderbilt's quarterback. He needed to be clutch in order to win this game, but he came out like a lawn chair because he folded. Tennessee is going to end up winning 35-26, and the Volunteers are going to be bowl eligible. So now we have a couple more games left in order to wrap up this episode. How about UNLV? They were ranked in the top 25, but they lost last week, so they actually fell to the top 25 because of that. We'll get a chance to see them in action though, as we do have a little bit of the Sin City rivalry kind of thing. Nevada versus UNLV. Nevada a little bit disappointing considering they're like a 90+ overall team, but we'll see if they can turn around here the last few games of this season so that they can finally come out and and go to a bowl game. Have not seen them in a bowl game yet here in this series, and always have a little bit of a heart for these small schools, right? Seeing them succeed in this new college football realignment environment, right? But UNLV still down 3-0. Hasn't been the same level of scoring that maybe we would come to expect from these two teams usually, but McNair finally will get the first touchdown of the game as UNLV will indeed take a 7-3 lead for the time being, but Nevada's just trying to kill you with field goals today, as a bunch of field goals for the Wolfpack, but they still have the lead going into the fourth quarter. That's what you do when you kick more field goals than they can get touchdowns. But eventually Nevada will actually find the end zone. Not a pretty throw to Eric Scott, but Scott does a beautiful job making an adjustment on the ball. And now the Wolfpack can put a nail in the coffin here as a throw over the left-hand side. Another great adjustment by Eric Scott. Oh my, he's having himself a performance today. Just seems like he's a better receiver than what the stats saying. 7 catches, 65 yards. There's him getting open yet again, running through a couple of defenders too. And that means he's going to have double-digit touchdowns on the day. But UNLV trying to engineer a comeback, though. Looking to avoid their first losing streak of the season. That's a nice throw to the left-hand side. Getting out of bounds, too, which means that he will be able to save out on using the timeouts, because those timeouts are going to be important, especially if they don't get the ball back via an onside kick. But this is trouble, though. Drew Foster gets sacked in the backfield, and now the Rebels have to start using timeouts. Only 2 remaining, and this fourth down is going to be critical. Dropping back, looks over the middle, finds a receiver. He's still going, and Victor Dixon, I don't know how he did it, but he done did it anyways. Leads to a 1st and goal, but another touchdown will be seen here as UNLV does get on the board yet again, but it's just one of those too little too late kind of things, as UNLV sure enough will have their first losing streak of the season as Nevada ends up winning this one. So the last game that we have is Washington, number 7 team in the country. They'll be taking on Oregon State, trying to put the nail in the coffin for Oregon State's bowl hopes, while Washington Yeah, they're 6-3, so you're probably wondering why they're ranked so high. Well, Washington is a team that's had an extremely tough strength of schedule. It's been really tough sledding for Washington this season, but, they found a way to make things shake out, and, here they are, a chance to possibly get into the playoff, bare minimum as an at-large team. And Washington showing why they're a top 10 team in the nation, already up 19-0. They're not playing any games today. They are not messing around and finding out. They are not on that thing. So here we go. 2nd and 5 as Washington could put this out of reach already, it seems like. And Adrian Nicholas almost scores yet again for the Washington Huskies. I'm sure they'll find a way to find the end zone yet again, because this is the bread and butter of the Husky offense. That ground and pound, and this quarterback is simply perfect for it. Smith is going to find the end zone again for Washington, and this was a blowout from the beginning. Washington wins 57-21, showing that they are a top 10 squad. But now let's take some time and take a look around the country and look at some other scores that happened over the course of week number 12. Hawaii, first and foremost, is able to notch yet another win as the Rainbow Warriors win 42-28. That gets Hawaii to 7-3, and offensive coordinator George Gentry, well, he could be generating some buzz in this offseason's coaching carousel. However, a custom coach that is not generating that same kind of buzz, though, is offensive coordinator J.D. Weeks. It's been a tough season again for the Troy Trojans, as they now fall to just 2-8 on the year after being blown out by Southern Mississippi 48-17. The Golden Eagles are now 500 here in year number 2. As for UCLA, they're able to notch their 9th win of the season as they were able to pour it on against Fresno State. The Bruins win 49-28 as they tune themselves up for the Battle of LA that's going to happen here in the next episode. Now, that being said, Florida State is going to be welcomed into the top 25 for the very first time this season as the Seminoles win 35-10 against the University of Southern Florida. The Seminoles are now 7-3 and now have that number 22 national ranking as well. Iowa, meanwhile, is going to finish their conference season strong as they beat Western Michigan 38-3. The Hawkeyes putting together an above-average season, and they're in the hunt to possibly go to the American Conference Championship game. However, the same could not be said for the Syracuse Orange as they have struggled through Conference USA play. The Orange lose to Rutgers 42-14 as that will put the Orange below 500 in Conference USA action. Speaking of the Conference USA, how about them Dukes? The Dukes of James Madison pulled the upset off, beating Navy 35-17. And not only that, they will kick Navy out of the top 25 because of that too. As for Virginia Tech, they continue to roll through the regular season as offensive coordinator Jamar Lewis of Appalachian State was absolutely helpless. Virginia Tech wins big 44-10, and they're on pace for a possible double-digit win season. Now, as for Penn State, they did lose last week to Washington, but they bounced back as they will rebound with a win against Army, winning 24-17. Penn State still also having a good season as well. So since there actually wasn't any top 25 games that happened in this episode, let's go ahead and take a look at the conference standings, see how things are shaking out as we get into the last couple of weeks of the regular season. First, we do go and jump over to the American Conference as Nebraska, they are going to clinch the Frontier Divisional title. They do so by winning their matchup, and that matchup that they did end up having against Iowa State. While Nebraska will be going to the American Conference Championship, likely will host, and they will play the winner of the Lake Division. Now, Iowa's currently on top. They're at 6-2 right now, but both of their losses are to Bowling Green and to Eastern Michigan as well. So if either of these two teams win their next couple of games, they'll be the ones that will be competing for a conference championship, going on the road to play against Nebraska. One thing to note is that Bowling Green and Eastern Michigan, well, they both play each other in week number 13. Meanwhile, over in the Big Ten Conference, we actually have our first conference championship game set up and ready to go. Ohio State, who's ranked number 2 in the country, one of the few undefeated teams left, one of 2, I think, USC being the other. Ohio State is going to be champions of the Buckeye Division, and they will be taking on the Michigan Wolverines. Now, Ohio State and Michigan, they do have the game rivalry, but even though I had protected rivalries on, or at least I'm pretty sure I did, these two teams did not play each other in the regular season, which I thought was extremely odd, but we will see this big rivalry game in that Big Ten Conference Championship. In other news, because USC did end up winning here in week number 12, they will be moving on to the Pac-12 championship game, and they will be hosting as well as UCLA. Well, they still got to play UCLA, but too much ground for UCLA to make up. And then Hawaii. Hawaii is also a team that's already played USC and lost to the Trojans, so they have this division in the bag. However, in the Northwestern Division, still a very interesting one to watch. So right now, there is a two-way tie between Washington State and Washington. They'll play each other in that Apple Cup. Don't think that's happening in week number 13, but I think that's going to be a regular season finale. Also in the hunt is California. The California Bears are also in this thing as well. Oregon could make some noise in the last couple of games. And then Nevada. The Nevada Wolfpack are not completely out of it either. They will need a lot of help in order to make this happen, but Nevada could sneak in if they win their next 2 games and then also get a lot of help as well. Finally, in terms of conference clinchers, we have the Miami Hurricanes, who have clinched their way to the SEC Championship. Miami, your defending national and SEC champions. They will be going back once again, as they do already have wins against Florida State and the Florida Gators as well to go with that. However, in the Peach Division, seems pretty wrapped up. Georgia does have it pretty tight, but it's not clinched technically. They still got to go play Georgia Tech, who's a couple of games behind. So if Georgia Tech wins their next couple of games and then Georgia loses their next couple of games, including the regular season finale against Georgia Tech, then we could be seeing Georgia Tech in the conference championship instead. But as long as Georgia handles their business by winning their next game, then they can have this division wrapped up in the bag going into conference championship weekend. So it's been an absolutely exhilarating week number 12 here in the NCSL Dynasty, and I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation of this Sim League. If you did, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button as well if you do have to be brand new to the channel. You know, I like to grow this college football community that we got going on here. But with that being said, this is John Shake Gaming on the mic signing off. But hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.